It is day 5, reading time. You need your progress book and a pencil. We are going to turn to page 16. So we have been reading the article Into the Grand Canyon, and we were introduced to the two main characters, Paul and Jackson, and they are hiking with their troop in the Grand Canyon, and Jackson ends up hurting his ankle. So I want you to think about the conversation those two boys had at the beginning of the story, the part where Jackson ends up having to grab Paul's phone because he doesn't think he should be gaming while he's at the Grand Canyon. And think about what you think is going to happen by the end of the story. All right, so on page 16, we're going to start right off with paragraph 30. There's a short pause, and then everyone starts yelling out answers. Make sure Jackson is warm. We don't want him to go into shock. Split the ankle to keep it immobile. Immobile means that it's not moving. You hold it in place. Give him plenty of water. Before I can even react, everyone gets to work. Someone throws a thermal blanket. That's a type of blanket that holds in heat. Over my shoulders while someone else hands me a water bottle. Our first aid team looks at my ankle, elevating my foot and maneuvering the splint over my pants. I notice that Paul is rifling around in my backpack. Hey, I say, why are you going through my stuff while I'm lying here, helpless? Paul grins. You have the compass and my cell phone, buddy. Now let me do my job, getting you safely to our campsite. To everyone's surprise, Paul turns out to be great in an emergency. He double checks the maps and the compass. He also assembles some of the other scouts to clean the debris from the trail ahead of us. If he's assembling it, he's bringing everyone together. He even manages to find a spot with cell phone service so Mr. Anderson can call the leader of our partner troop and let him know what happened. Before long, we are back on the trail. It takes 2 scouts to hold me up, but we manage. Slowly, we make our way to our campsite. That night, as we all gather around the campfire, I thank Paul for his help. He looks at me out of the corner of his eye and says, Hey, man, I have to ask you a question. You really did sprain your ankle, right? Of course I did. Why in the world would you ask that? Page 17. Well, you did promise me an adventure, and I think that was pretty exciting. I laugh loudly. You got that right. Still missing your video games, Paul? No way. Even video games don't have this kind of action. So, on page 16, cite evidence A. It says, underline the details in paragraph 37 that identify the actions Paul takes when Jackson is injured. So, go right to 37. And it says, he turns out to be great in an emergency. So what does he do? He double checks the maps and the compass. He also assembles some of the other scouts to clean the debris from the trail ahead of us. He even manages to find a spot with cell phone service so Mr. Anderson can call the leader of our partner troop and let him know what happened. Cite evidence B. Why does Paul ask if Jackson has really sprained his ankle? Circle dialogue on page 17 that helps you make an inference about this issue. So, if I go to page 17, if you think back to the very first conversation I think paragraph 12, well, you did promise me adventure, and I think that was pretty exciting. Because remember, Jackson was telling Paul, this is the Grand Canyon. This is great. You don't want to miss anything. So what you're going to do on your own is the comprehension check 1, 2, and 3.